This is exactly what I'm looking for. The Islamic takeover of New York is here, and it's worse than you think. That's right, in this new patch update, we're living under a new caliphate in New York City. It's a video by Cyberpunk Dingo, who has been critical of Islam in the past. Let's see what he has to say about my home turf.
When the Muslim Votes Matter push hit the UK, it was one of the earliest signs of the Islamo-left alliance entering politics.
This is what we call the Red-Green Alliance, because on paper, right, far leftist ideology and Islamic Sharia law and practices, they don't mesh well on paper. One is pro-women, the other one makes them wear burqas.
However, the candidates weren't that palatable.
The YouTube comments are going to be toxic on this one. We're talking about a horseshoe theory. This shit doesn't make sense.
Older, a bit weirder, pushing cousin marriage in Parliament and so on. They were
And it's actually ironic because red and green are opposite colors.
Successful, yes, but outside the UK, this movement primarily existed in the form of Palestinian protests or silent takeovers in government departments and institutions in the Western world. That is, of course, until recently. It seems this alliance, which I often call the Red-Green Alliance, has found the perfect poster boy, a car salesman-like smile, and incredible marketing.
This guy came out of nowhere. Don't mess with the Zohran, Mamdani. He's got the Pan Am smile, okay? I called this shit from a mile away. The first time I saw him, it was, he's not pissed off enough about the current state of New York City. If you talk to anyone with a pulse about New York, you would know that shit is not looking good. That shit is a PvP server, okay? Oh, you want to get lit on fire after a hard day's work on your subway, commute home? You want to get stabbed in the neck? You want to get tracked down and stalked by a fent-maxing criminal? If that sounds like fun, then New York City might be the city for you. Okay? This guy is an actual communist. He wants to defund the police. He wants to let criminals out of jail. And he wants them to run rampant on the streets. These are all found on his tweets over on X. If you want to say, pull up a source, I'm going to put that burden on you because I've pulled up his tweets many a times.
Campaign, Soros funds, and incredible promises that appeal to the primal, tribalistic...
Second of all, bro's from Uganda. He's not a true New Yorker. He came out of nowhere, came out of the bushes. New York is pizza, fitted Yankee hats, and Timberlands. That's it. Sorry, and bacon, egg, and cheeses with salt, pepper, and ketchup.
Emotions of the standard leftist. Add in being a democratic socialist Muslim with rich parents, all the right connections, and of course, a first-generation immigrant. That is, the brand new Democratic nominee for Mayor of New York City, Zohran Mamdani.
So the latest on the stunning upset in New York City's mayoral...
He wants to tax white neighborhoods. I wish I was kidding. He actually said that.
Primary, sending shockwaves through the Democratic Party. Zohran Mamdani
declares victory.
A stunning political upset this week in the race to lead America's biggest city. 33-year-old Democratic Socialist and New York State Assemblyman Zohran Mamdani.
Yesterday, here's why.
Yo, he's gonna pick my neighborhood as ground zero. Wherever Philion lives, we are taxing. 100%.
A stunning upset. Democratic Socialist Zohran Mamdani won the Democratic mayoral primary.
Born in Uganda, Mamdani moved to New York City as a child and grew up comfortably on Manhattan's Upper West Side, one of the city's wealthiest, most liberal enclaves, where elite academics, film directors, and trust funds are part of the furniture.
Many such cases, bro. Pretending to be a man of the people, right? Trust fund socialist. Get that shit out of here. I'm so over that tech, dude.
His mother, Miranai, is a world-famous filmmaker, and his father, Mahmoud Mamdani, a celebrated academic who's spent decades critiquing Western imperialism from tenured faculty lounges. Clearly, the textbook upbringing of a working-class tenant organizer. After graduating from Bowdoin College, one of those places where students major in activism and lesbian dance theory, Mamdani began housing activism in Queens.
Shift the tax burden from overtaxed homeowners in the outer boroughs to more expensive homes in richer and whiter neighborhoods. You can't make this up. Holy buckets!
Rebranding himself as a voice for working-class tenants. He even rapped under the name Young Cardamom, dropping lines in support of the Holy Land Five, men convicted of funneling money to Hamas. Despite his well-connected upbringing and private school polish, Mamdani now sells himself as a grassroots immigrant from Queens, fighting on behalf of the oppressed.
Any guy who actually votes for this guy is perpetually cucked, and they don't want to piss off what they got going on with their huzz, okay? With the, what do you call it, the doodle tattoo art girlfriends that they have, right? You know what I'm talking about? Those Brooklyn girls. They do not want to upset them. They don't want to be their own men. They are actually longhoused forever.
It's a compelling story, just not one that matches the resume. Like any champagne socialist, Mamdani comes armed with big promises. He doesn't want to simply defund the police, he wants it abolished. This is a guy who chants no landlords, no cops, aligns himself with abolitionist groups like No New Jails NYC, and dreams of replacing police.
Good luck defunding New York City cops. Then we have nothing. Then there is zero line of defense. Oh, you think it's bad now? Holy buckets, bro. This shit's gonna look like it's gonna look like The Walking Dead. It's gonna look like 28 years later. The server is going to be unplayable.
Entirely with community-based safety models, whatever that means. In the assembly, Mamdani voted against banning ghost guns and criminalizing revenge porn, one of the only 3 lawmakers out of 144. Why? Because punishment itself is the problem. Apparently, even revenge porn laws are too oppressive for him. Then there's his vision of city-run grocery stores, as if the
That's what I want. Seed oil funded slop, where the rich people are taking all my red meat, eggs, and milk, and honey, keeping me strong and fertile, full of virility and high testosterone flowing through my veins. They want me to eat bug bar cricket paste and boof canola oil.
EMV managing your local bodega will fix supply chains. He's also promising 200,000 publicly funded housing units, a permanent rent freeze, free buses, and a full municipal takeover of the power grid.
Dude, we already have rent freezes.
Not utopian, delusional. But the funny thing is, he's already had power. As a state assemblyman, Mamdani sponsored 20 bills, only 3 passed, and none matched.
You gotta actually be a dark tetrad, Jordan Peterson speaks of this, psychopath to pursue politics as a career.
His grandiose promises. No rent freezes, no bodegas, certainly no abolition of the NYPD. And most of these mayoral proposals, legally or financially impossible. Rent freezes, controlled by an independent Red Guidelines Board. Buses and subways, under state control. Public utilities, state regulated. The city's $110 billion budget, already strained. His big solution? Raise taxes specifically.
Are there any good politicians? No, because Teddy Roosevelt is dead.
On richer and whiter neighborhoods. For leftists like Mamdani, race-based policy is truly step 1. In other words, it's all performance. A fantasy manifesto wrapped in hashtags.
He just hates to see a white boy succeed, bro. What am I supposed to do? Pay reparations? Please, please, take all my money. Drain me, Zohran. I don't deserve it.
And grievance politics. Quick note, making videos like this, the kind the mainstream avoids and that platforms don't exactly promote, isn't always easy. So if you found this valuable, consider subscribing, liking the video, and support.
There's a lesson in there, because I would rather live in a wigwam or a teepee alone than be perpetually longhoused.
The channel on Patreon. It's what helps keep this work independent without ever softening the message. Of course, none of this works without the character, and Mamdani
Hating on the realest BWC in New York City is crazy, by the way. Hating on the Blue Eyes White Dragon is diabolical.
has crafted one hell of a persona, one that almost exists on screen only. Look at the highly produced, slick TikToks with filters and the perfectly...
Dude, I said this weeks ago when he spawned in from the ether. I said this is way too highly produced. He's too jolly. This is not the reality of New York City. It is gritty, it is dark, it is grim, and it's in desperate need of Batman.
time Bollywood rap mashup.
What do you mean? What's the lore with longhouses? I got you. So longhouses are a matriarchal structure in Native American culture where the women would run the house, okay? This was group living. And the women would tell the men what to do, what to think, what they were allowed to do and not to do. It's known as the longhouse. This is the cuck den. Yes. So when I say men are longhoused, it means they're living in here. They're not going to make it. That's what being longhoused is called.
This, I can assure you, is a masterful campaign. Nothing less is to be
It's a life perpetually in the cuck chair.
expected from the son of a well-known filmmaker. It's a
There's plenty of problems in the longhouse.
campaign that has transformed the Champagne Socialist into a mythological leftist leader figure for, well, other Champagne Socialists.
Listen, there's nothing wrong with women. We need our women, 100%. It's just that there are men, particularly in New York City, that will not come out with their own political opinions because they don't want to scare away the hoes, because they need to agree with them so that they can get pussy. I've seen it time and time again.
As you can see here, the highest earning New Yorkers voted in numbers for him, while the lower earners did not. This character was
This
created...
is the midwit curve, by the way. See, Mamdani is a socialist on paper, and he was actually favored by high income, or I guess in middle, upper middle class people.
voted in numbers for him, while the lower earners did not. This character was created with funding from care-linked groups and Soros-aligned PACs, all eager to
This is all true, by the way.
back the next charismatic face
This guy came out of fucking nowhere. The cuck house equals the longhouse, that's right.
of progressive grievance politics. But the real turbocharge came from Palestine. To be fair, even before that, you could already see the signs from Mamdani. When you look at his annual 9/11 posts, you immediately notice how he says it was the day Muslims became targets in America.
Right.
Not, the day nearly 3,000 people were murdered by Islamist terrorists. After October 7, his statement was all about Israel committing genocide. Not a single word about Hamas. Not one. When asked to disavow chants like globalize the Intifada,
No, he loves that saying. Loves that one.
Mamdani refused, because for his movement, that phrase isn't a red flag, it's branding. When pressed, he gave the classic activist answer: Intifada just means struggle.
Is that the very word has been used by the Holocaust Museum when translating the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising into Arabic, because it's a word that means struggle.
Right, and Mein Kampf just means my struggle too. Let's not pretend this is some benign slogan. The Second Intifada alone resulted in over 1,000 Israeli civilians killed, many in random attacks in public spaces. It was a campaign defined by terror, not protest. Globalize the Intifada is without a doubt a dog whistle for exporting that violence globally. And they all know this. This is, by the way, a form of...
That actually is like a leftist dog whistle. As rare as they may be.
Islamic subversion called taqiyya, where deception is used to conquer infidels. What Mamdani knows, however, is that the slogan polls well in certain circles. It activates a base, signals solidarity, and builds a
The
mythology.
black son of leftists.
That's why he doesn't walk it back. He leans in. But
It's not a dog whistle, it's a bullhorn. Everyone can hear it. That's a good point, too.
here's where things get even more interesting. For all his sectarian theatrics, keffiyehs, slogans lifted straight from Hamas, and protests outside Chuck Schumer's house, Mamdani himself isn't particularly devout. He's openly pro-LGBT, his wife dresses Western chic, and there's barely a hint of religious observance in his public life. Believe me, I can tell. In other words, he's the textbook example of a...
It's the Hassan Islam. Many such cases. Yeah, dude, I love Islam, but I'm gonna date a porn star.
cultural Muslim, someone who wears Islam as a political badge, but lives a thoroughly secular, progressive lifestyle. And to be clear, that isn't necessarily a bad thing. As I've said in my video on Islam's eventual downfall, the rise of cultural Islam might actually soften Orthodox influence, breaking its theological grip and leading to a rather different version of Islam. But in the short term, there's a dangerous catch. Cultural Muslims like Mamdani, despite their secular habit,
What do you mean, dude? Iran loves gay people. They're so pro-trans. Of course progressive values in the Middle East are one in the same. They can live together.
often empower Islamist-adjacent groups like CARE, known for ties to the Muslim Brotherhood. These groups gain legitimacy by aligning themselves with
You know Hassan dated a porn star? Bro, you are dialed in. I know everything. I'm literally him. I'm really fucking smart. Everyone is a slug but me.
talking Western-friendly frontmen. It's not a new strategy. In the UK, George Galloway's Respect Party famously merged socialist rhetoric with mosque-based campaigning. Palestine became emotional glue, fusing
Yeah, he dated Janice Griffith. Right here.
otherwise incompatible political interests into a rage-fueled bloc. Mamdani is simply the American beta test, a TikTok-friendly hybrid of trust funds and third-world grievance politics, who seamlessly switches between DSA live streams and mosque stump speeches. Look, fair enough, his opponent in the primary, Andrew Cuomo, has a rather shady history and had almost no chance of groping a win. But if Mamdani wins in
I didn't grope her, I'm just Italian.
November, you can be sure there'll be 100 more just like him, fueled by Free Palpatine hashtags and ready to turn every local election into a foreign policy referendum. It's the evil West.
Then he cried on stream about being cucked. What do you mean? Who? Is there lore I don't know about?
Versus the rest, personified. And it's such an easily repeated formula. The end result also isn't too hard to imagine. Simply look at London. Of course, he hasn't won yet. That decision...
So, this often comes up. They're like, oh, just look at London. You mean Londistan? I don't know what's going on over there. I haven't been to Harry Potter land. Any English people in chat in the comments want to tune in? I mean, we saw from GB News, which is the Fox News of the UK, a lot of migrants, third world immigrants coming over through Calais in France, up the English Channel, boom, give me a house.
comes in November. But win or lose, today, Mamdani is already the poster boy for this alliance. A polished product of...
There's no way he cried on stream about cuckolding. You're gonna have to substantiate these sources if you're gonna lore drop like that.
Western institutions, armed with revolutionary aesthetics and third world grievance politics. He represents a new archetype, the smiling face of sectarianism, selling high school campaign promises as if they're serious policy, while empowering the worst actors in the background. It's a coming.
Just look up the concert with a guy named Bob Villain. It's not a good look for the Brits. Yeah, I saw this. Bob Villain.
I do want to ask about Syria, but first I just want to very, very briefly.
I might want to go on and on,
How
Matt.
do you
I don't know.
how do you decide?
They don't talk about it.
I do
Let's
want
see
to ask
here.
about Syria, but first I just
So
want
yeah,
to
man.
very, very
Obviously.
I might want to.
So yeah, man. Obviously, we're seeing some fucked up things happening in the world, and you know, we're seeing the UK and the US be complicit in war crimes and genocide happening over there to the Palestinian people. And I know we're on the BBC, look, we're not going to say anything crazy, all right? Don't leave that for them lads. You know what I mean? But we have seen, unfortunately, we have seen a strange reaction to people that come out and voice.
Dude, if I'm going to a concert, I want to hear music. Everything is just politically charged and such slug behavior, dude. Just fucking dance, sing for me, please. I want to turn my brain off.
Support for Palestine, even though anybody with any kind of moral compass can surely tell that what is happening over there in Gaza is a tragedy.
Is this where he crashes out? You guys know what I'm talking about?
So look,
just put the song in the mic.
We're not pacifist punks here over at Bob Villain Enterprises. We're not pacifist punks. We are the violent punks, because sometimes you got to get your message across with violence, because that is the only language.
Oh, that's great. That's good.
That some people speak, unfortunately. This next song, we want to dedicate it to every single band that is using their platform to speak up for the Palestinian people and speak against the crimes that Israel, the UK, and the US, and much of the Western world are complicit in. So this is for all of you, like this is for Murder Capital, this is for Kneecap, this is for Amel and the Sniffers.
I don't know what that means.
Every single band out there using their platform to speak up for the Palestinian people.
Oh, those are bands.
Because we must pray, hope, and wish to see a day where the Palestinian people are liberated and free from the tyranny of the Israeli government. Free, free! Free, free! Free, free! Free, free! Free, free! Free Palestine each and every single time this is pretty songs.
That's not the crash out. Wasn't he chanting something else?
Free, free! Free, free! Free, free! Alright, but have you heard this one though? Death, death to the IDF! Death, death to the IDF! Death, death to the IDF! Death, death to the IDF!
Yo.
Death, death to the IDF! Hell yeah, from the river to the sea, Palestine must be, will be, inshallah, it will be free.
Inshallah, brother. Mashallah.
Coming of decay disguised as progress, a carefully marketed identity politics package that swaps merit for martyrdom and policy for performance. And if it works, we won't just get one Mamdani, we'll get 100 more, branded, funded, ready, and the West still won't know what hit it. Hey, you made it to the end. As always, don't forget to subscribe, turn on notifications.
Yo, we're so cooked, bro. Holy buckets! It's so over. The West has fallen.